Hello, my name is Genevieve Henrietta, and this is my video reflection going through my progression as a designer through the EDSGN 100 course at Penn State. First, starting off with my improvement on being able to communicate designs. In Project 1, we can see that I'm trying to create Winnie the Pooh. It's a very simple sketch, and it's also not very realistic. Here we can see the actual prototype that came out of this idea, and they look very different. Now looking at my final project, Project 5, we can see a drastic difference in the first ideas and brainstorming before creating the prototype in Fusion 360. These sketches are much more detailed and much more complicated, but they are much more achievable and realistic for what I can create. Here is the final result of Project 5, and there is definitely an increase in the quality of the design. Now moving on to designing in CAD, we can look at one of my first projects using Fusion 360, which is creating a minifigure of Princess Leia. The shapes and design are very simple and are not using any advanced tools. While learning to use Fusion 360, I was also tasked to create a second minifigure, and I decided to create R2-D2. This I took much more time with and was able to make a much more complicated and pleasing to the eye figure. After my presentation, I was voted by 100% of my classmates to win the Achievement Award bonus points. Going back to Project 5, we can see a stark difference in the simplicity and time it took to create these projects. Project 5, I spent a minimum of 5 hours designing, sketching, and creating. I had to use my creativity to create something that would be useful for me versus others, which I found to be a much easier but much more complicated challenge because I knew exactly what I needed, but I decided to do something very specific to my needs. As you can see behind me, my roommate and I have a Christmas tree that is not fully stable and does not fully fit on the shelf that we place it on. I decided to task myself to create a new Christmas tree stand that was multifunctional and was able to suit all of our user needs. Moving on into making prototypes, my two favorite prototypes that I've helped create were the robot server prototype and also my hand-drawn prototype. My robot server prototype relied on a lot of communication from our team and working together to create it. We all had our hands in on this project, and we were able to use all our ideas to create the best prototype for what issues we faced. Although this prototype is not completely realistic, I still had a lot of fun, and it is definitely a learning curve for more what to do and what not to do when creating prototypes. For Project 4, I created a hand-drawn animation, which helped our group win in our class to be able to go off and compete our presentation. This prototype took time, but it also had a much higher quality and much better visual effect, and was able to clearly state what our ideas were. I learned it was important to be able to lean into my skill set to be able to create the best design. Overall, in this class, I was able to learn that brainstorming and being able to be creative and pushing your boundaries in your mind is really what creates the best results. What takes time and effort will always have the highest reward. In this class, I have been able to be much more skilled in CAD, communicating my design, and making prototypes, which are all skills that will be important to me as an engineer and moving on through life. Thank you.